guys, and welcome to this week's Mental Monday. Currently on a very long drive, and I thought I would take the opportunity to do something a little different with this week's Mental Monday. I hope the camera isn't too crazily shaky. I'll try to clean it up if I can, if it is in iMovie. But I thought this would be the perfect situation to film this week because I wanted to talk about finding things that relax us, finding things that help us cope, that help us deal, that help us process, and that help us de-whelm ourselves. So I'm really good at overwhelming myself. I know I've talked about that over and over again. So it's been really, really important for me to find ways of undoing that, to find ways of de-stressing myself, of de-whelming myself. I don't know a better word to use for that, honestly, but just basically to find ways of calming myself back down, and in a way that also lets me calmly and constructively process everything that's happening. There's a lot of times where I calm myself back down really easily once I've allowed myself to process, once I've allowed myself to kind of word vomit out everything I'm thinking, or just really allow myself to express in some way everything I'm thinking and feeling about that in a few minutes or a longer conversation with somebody if I have that opportunity. And if it is really expressed enough and well enough, my thoughts are formed about it well enough, that calms me back down. But to get to that point, you need that situation of being able to process. And you don't want to process in a way that's going to stress you out along with a stressful situation you're trying to deal with. So I have a few things that I do that helps me process in a less stressful way. In a way that isn't so I need to figure it out right this second. That's really just allowing me to head on face what I'm feeling and thinking and allow what I'm feeling and thinking to come. Sometimes if I'm not quiet enough, I don't actually know what I'm thinking or feeling because I haven't let myself be still long enough to figure that out. And I think that's really important to remember. So on that note, I'm driving right now and I'm on a long drive. It's going to be a total of about 3.5 hours probably going to visit my family. Max is in the passenger seat, but he's passed out sleeping. Driving for me is a major time period where I process stuff. It's a major time period where I am thinking through everything that's going on. I can pray if I need to. I can really use that time to just be by myself with my thoughts and really figure out what it is I actually think and what I'm feeling and put it into words before I try to express it to anybody else. Okay, hold on. Let's revisit that last part for a second. Letting yourself be quiet and alone long enough to understand how you think and feel. I can't not even describe how important that is and how deeply ingrained of a problem that can be, or how hard of a thing to do that can actually become. No matter what the situation is you're trying to process, no matter what it is you're trying to figure out, giving yourself that space before you have to decide how you feel and not instinctively reacting or reflexively reacting. You allow yourself time to process and take a breather for a second and kind of live with whatever it is. So I mentioned that driving is something that I do a lot of processing during. It's a huge processing time for me. It's just the longest amount of time I'm usually by myself with nothing else I need to be focusing on, and I can really kind of just think and be alone with my thoughts. And another thing that allows me to do that is going for a walk in the woods. We have a huge secluded camping area here, and it is probably one of the most therapeutic things I could do for myself, to go for a walk down to there and just sit down there for a little bit. Just sit and pray maybe and be quiet. Allow myself to think without all of the noise, without pressure from any external sources, and really just think. I think that is one of the most important lessons I've learned about processing and about figuring out a situation, is to really allow yourself that space without external pressure to figure out how you feel. And that you don't want to try to figure that out under pressure. I know I am somebody that instinctively reacts a lot, and so I end up thinking, I'm sure that I feel this way about it. And then I'll think about it more. I'll live with it a little more. I will listen to a podcast on it, or I'll watch a YouTube video on it, or I'll pray about it, or I'll research it in some way. And all of a sudden I have more information that's thrown into my brain that I'm processing, and now I think about it differently. So sometimes processing something for me looks like a drive with a podcast on, or looks like a walk with a podcast on, with the subject of what I'm trying to figure out. But that comes with a little caveat, because you don't want to give yourself more information and just overwhelm yourself if researching isn't really what you need at that point of processing. So processing is itself a process. So you have to decide which point in that you are at. Are you at a point where you still need to research and get more information so you can really fully know what you think about it? Or have you researched and researched and researched, and you have plenty of information, more than you know what to do with, and really now all you need to do is allow yourself time and space to think about all of that? At that point in the game, giving yourself more information is just overwhelming yourself more and making it that much harder for you to fully get to understanding how you yourself feel about it. At that point, the last thing you need is to hear another opinion on what you're trying to figure out. So I really encourage everybody this week to kind of think about, how do you process things? How do you work on figuring out how you feel or think about things? And do you allow yourself that time and space? Do you have certain things you do that you really use that time when it's like a more mindless task to process? Is it doing the dishes? Is it driving? Is it taking a walk? Is it some kind of craft like crocheting or something? I know can be super therapeutic in that way for a lot of people. Something you're doing with your hands that you don't have to concentrate very much on. So your brain power isn't really being tapped into from many other sources. Driving, for me at least, is a very automatic thing at this point. So while I am paying attention, I don't have to give all 100% of my attention every single second. I can, while watching the road, allow my brain to wander a little bit and think about things. And that's why I love, personally, my favorite way of processing something is to take a drive. Now, gas money is something, so sometimes a walk, if you don't want to spend gas money. For where we are, we're so secluded, it takes a lot of gas money to get anywhere. But those are the things to think about, of what you yourself really benefit from in that department, and what you personally could do to be helping yourself process and think about things. And knowing where you're at in that. Do you really need to research more? Or do you really need more time alone with it, and more time to confuse yourself with just mulling it over and over and over again? Those are things that I think can catch us up when trying to make a decision on something, or trying to really figure out what to do about a certain situation. So these are just some of the little things that I've been thinking of that really can help with that. And that is kind of something I've noticed in myself for how I process personally and try to figure stuff like that out. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was interesting. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and share it with everybody. And if you are not already subscribed to my channel, click the screen and subscribe. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!